Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here. Before I introduce myself further, I would like to get the test started. Because as I'm aware, most of you are probably testers, and testers are curious beings. So when I put a booklet in front of you that says, do not open, what's the first thing a tester is going to do? Open it. Don't! Immediately, 2 people, hey! So we are going to start with the experiment. It will not be long, and it will only be for the people who have a book. If you want to move to the front of the hall where there's a book, you're welcome to. It's fun to participate, because I'm going to break your brain a little bit. I'll also fix it. So if you want to move, do it now. No talking. No passing books left or right, please. The books stay. I like to be close to the people. It's my way of getting you close to me. So don't talk, don't discuss. It's important, please. People are now moving away from books. Let's get started. So the test will be very easy. You are divided in 2 teams. Team A, this side of the hall. Please wave to me, Team A. Yes. And Team B. You are going to be challenging each other with this test. Please, I repeat, do not open your book until instructed. For every page, you get about 10 seconds to solve the riddle. As most of you have seen by now, there's a word puzzle on there. You get 10 seconds to find the word. Don't open it yet. I'm going to give you the start sign. 10 seconds. You don't have to write it down. There will not be a written test. Just find the word. Okay? And remain silent, please. Okay, open your book. Page 1 starts now. For the people that are more relaxed in Czech, I tried to make it bilingual. So if you flip it around, you'll get the other language. I cannot guarantee that Czech is perfect because I don't speak it at all. All right. I guess the 10 seconds are gone. Could you raise your hand if you found a word? Hey, Team A. Wonderful. Let's go to the second page. Your 10 seconds starts. Let's see what Team B has to offer. You need to use all the words, all the letters in the word. It'll be okay, I promise. All right, your 10 seconds are over. Who found a word? Team A. And a few people in Team B. Not bad. Let's go to the third word. Flip your page. Last word. Your 10 seconds starts now. I'm actually seeing books being taken apart now. All right. Who found a word? Hands, please. So what you might have noticed, Team B, Team A kept putting all their hands up, right? And some of you got the last word, but not everyone. I played a bit of a joke on you. You're okay. Nothing's wrong with you. What did I do? So the first 2 rounds, Team B had a word that's impossible. You could try to make a word, but it would never work. But the third word was the same for everyone. So everyone in Team B who did not get the third word, I influenced your mindset. I made you think that it wasn't possible. But the word was conference, right? So let me formally introduce myself. I'm Linde van de Vooren. I work for Bartels. I'm from the Netherlands. We pronounce it a bit differently. where we are? That's okay. I've been told at many conferences that it's actually Bartosz. I don't know, we say Bartos. I've been a consultant for over 15 years, and since 2 years I've picked up a speaking habit. I really enjoy doing it, and I just love being on a stage and messing people's mindsets up. Every time you see the photo icon on my screen, that's when the screen's complete. If you want to take a picture, that's the moment to do it. Otherwise, if it's not there, I'll just keep adding information and you'll be going, oh no, not another one. So what did I just do to your brain? Let's first look at what the brain actually does. The brain does nothing more than keep us alive. And it really doesn't do a very good job at that. The brain's very good at assessing danger. It had to be to survive, because we used to be in immediate danger always because of the wild animals around us, but evolution has caught up with us. We now have a brain that is set up to look for danger that's not always there. When you walk through a forest nowadays, you don't really have to worry about getting mauled by a whatever. What kind of beast do you have here? Bears. Ooh. By bears. We don't have bears in the Netherlands. You don't have to be scared of being mauled by a bear. We have wolves nowadays. But back in the days, when you heard a rustling in the bush, you had to really think, is this going to kill me, or am I going to get my dinner from it? Nowadays, if something's rustling in a bush in the midst of a park in the city, it's probably not going to kill you. But our brain is still wired like that. So I would like to tell you a story about how I mistook someone for a bear. My first assignment as a test manager 8 years ago. I was very nervous and I thought I really need to do well. And I looked at the assignment description and I thought, this is a lot, I'm not sure I can do it, but I'll try. And I tried and I failed. But I wanted to succeed. So I asked help of the program manager. That was a big mistake because the program manager was, well, a big, beastly guy, a bit like a bear. And his management style was walking into my little office, screaming at me, telling me that I was late doing this, that, and that this report was illegible, and that he couldn't make any sense of everything I did. And then he would walk away. And then I would think, I asked him to help me. Oh no. So I powered through it. I probably should have opted out at some point, because when you spend months in a situation like that, it's not good for you. In my head, he became a bit like this guy. But I found a way to change it around that worked for me. I found a way to look at him like, okay, so he's obviously not very able to communicate his needs. So I tried to find out what is he actually looking for. And when I started looking at him as if he was a different type of bear, it was a lot easier to get through to him and to ask him, hey, what is it you need from me? So I finished the assignment. It wasn't great. And I was wondering, am I cut out to be a test manager? It really got in my head. I perceived myself to be bad at being a test manager because of that assignment. How you perceive things reveals your mindset. And if you believe yourself to be a bad test manager, you will be. Just as when you believe you're a bad speaker, you'll pass on a chance to speak. Who here has ever seen the TV show, it's British, Fawlty Towers? A few people. So in Fawlty Towers, it's about a hotel And it's run by this British couple, and they have a help, Manuel. Manuel runs the kitchen, and Manuel does service. And Manuel tries to do everything right, but he always gets it wrong. But he tries so hard, and the harder he tries, the worse it gets. Let me take you into the brain and explain to you why Manuel is, the victim of his own amygdala. The amygdala is the feelings regulator. That's the little place in your brain where if you get a feeling, an emotion, your amygdala picks up on it and goes, oh, I know this, I'm happy, hey. And then it will start make happy. And it does that by reaching into the thalamus. That's a bit like your bookcase. So you experience something, your brain stores it in this really big bookcase, a bit like this, or like the marble bookcase in Inside Out 2, where all the marbles are stored in the back in the long-term storage. No? Yes. So your brain creates this whole bookcase, and it puts all these experiences, there are people up there, it puts all these experiences in these books. And the thalamus tells you, this is the book you need right now. Your library could look like this. It's very pretty. I love libraries. You also need a control room, also much like Inside Out 2, which I guess none of you saw because, well, there's one. This is the executive control chamber, the head of the whole operation in your brain. And those all are run by, well, remember where the amygdala was? Around there, somewhere, I can't pinpoint it, there are inhibitory neurons. They originate from, I'm going to read this from the notes because I've not been able to memorize it. The protagoners in the subpallium. They are the don't do it juices, the herbal tea for your brain. They tell you, that's not a good idea, stop what you're doing. And then there's my very badly drawn cauliflower, a red cauliflower. This is the overreacting amygdala. Your amygdala has no idea what it's doing all the time. It can only react. I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm feeling some kind of way. And if your amygdala is upset, it's going to be extreme about it, like a red cauliflower. So how do you deal with that? Because we understand how our brain works, but how can you make sense of it? What do you need to change your mindset? Because that's what we're talking about. You need awareness. You need to be aware of what you're feeling. I'm currently aware that I'm feeling very happy because I'm talking to you, and I've been waiting all day to do that. You need free will. You need the will to change what your emotions are telling you. You need the will to get the different book from your bookcase. And that's often a very hard thing to do, because the bookcase your brain points to is the easiest. You need creative imagination. You need to be able to imagine how you could respond differently. If you can't do that, then how are you going to get to a different book? And you need a conscience. Now, why do you need a conscience? To know what to do, with what's the right thing to do. So the sad thing about our brain is you will get manipulated. Like I did with this little test with some people here in Team B. I'm sorry. I'm done manipulating you. Don't be mad. You will get manipulated. There's nothing you can do about that. Marketing and PR all around us is doing that all the time to us. If I tell you not to think about a red elephant, the first thing you're going to do is think about a red elephant. We are wired like that. Especially for testers, this is very painful. Because if you are in a bad mood, or if you haven't found a bug in 2 weeks, and you are doubting yourself if you're doing the right thing, if your tests are correct, if your automation's actually working or just giving green light and not doing anything, then you're going to be fooling yourself. One of my notes randomly is translated to Czech. That's interesting. So if we are aware and able, we are responsible. Response-able, it doesn't really work like that in English, but it's nice to look at it like that. We have an ability to choose our responses. The first emotion goes away after 90 seconds. That's when the initial feeling is gone. You can look at any situation with a couple of views. You can look at it like you're a winner. I haven't found a bug in 2 weeks. This application works so well. Right? And if you are in a situation with other people, which you often are, you might also want to look at establishing a win-win situation. If I choose something that's good for you and I choose something that's also good for the other person, then we both are winning. That's going to be great for us. Often, though, you might find that what you choose for yourself might be bad for someone else. Or even the other way around. What you choose, if you choose something that's bad for yourself but good for the other. And then the worst one, the lose-lose. Nothing good happens when you choose that. So let's talk about where exactly that moment of choice is, where you can actively make a different choice. There's an event, something happens, and you experience a limiting thought. You grab the book from the bookcase and it's the wrong book, and you think, this is not going to help me. What am I going to do? You need to assess your assumption, your conviction. You need to check in with yourself. How am I feeling about this? What are the emotions that are now running through my body? Which emotions can I feel happening? Where do I feel them? Personally, I always feel bad emotions in my stomach and good emotions in my heart, like I'm overflowing with happiness. Experience them. Because then you can assess what behavior there is. What behavior do you exhibit when you're not happy? And is it behavior that are victim-driven? Is it out of fear? Is it out of the past, the need to survive? Are you feeling guilty, lonely? Or are you from a responsible point of view? Do you feel love, happiness, future, creation? I realize these are all very hip coach terms, but they're also where the win-win happens. From your behavior is an impact. And the impact is whatever you do that impacts other people. When you are in a victim state, you will impact mostly yourself. When you are in a responsible state, you will impact others as well. And your impact has a consequence. And then there's a choice. You can choose to go back to the behavior point and choose a different behavior. You cannot go back to emotion. That all happened in your brain, you cannot influence that. But when you have experienced it and when you know what's going to happen, you can choose different behavior. You can say, oh, I'm so sad that I missed my bus. Oh, this is my whole day, damn. Oh. Or you can think, there's another bus, I'll be late. But then I'll be there, it will be fine. The whole day is not lost. And this is a simple example of a different change you can make. So what change are you making to the way you're thinking when you're doubting your test skills? when you are thinking, I'm automating this, I have no idea what I'm doing. Are you going to choose for a win-win situation, get help, get feedback, and learn? Or are you going to trudge on for 2 weeks, or maybe even longer? The longest tunnel I've pulled a tester out of was 2 months. 2 months to automate one single test item. And he got stuck on something so simple. And sprint after sprint, he said, no, it's not finished. Can I pull it into the new sprint? I really want to work on it. So after 2 months, he finally gave in. And I waited for that moment, because when he gives in, he wants help. And he was trying to Python something in C#. And that didn't work. It was more complex than that, but I'm not that technical. So I've created a bit of an agile manifesto for the mindset. You would like emotional control over emotional weakness. You're going to experience emotional weakness, but you want control over your responses. You're going to have negative thoughts, but positive thoughts should prevail or succeed a negative thought. Everyone gets stuck in a fixed mindset sometimes, but it's important to try and swing that around to a growth mindset, or find out why you are thinking you cannot get ahead. And expectation to appreciation. If you just expect things and don't appreciate them, then those things are not going to be bringing magic. And you want to focus on small adjustments opposed to big changes. Whenever I get stuck, I really force myself to make a big change, but I make the biggest steps in the small changes. And that's so counterintuitive for me that I thought it needed to be on this list, even if it's just for me. So how do you change the mindset of others? Because controlling yourself, that's one thing, right? But if your teammate's in a funk, you might want to do something about it. Leadership is nothing more than knowing what you want and to be able to transform that into a benefit for yourself and others, the win-win situation. So it's important to realize people want to change, but they don't want to be changed. So who here has heard of Anthony Robbins? Wow, one hand. He's an American, how shall I describe him? He trains people to become leaders and visionaries. I think that's the briefest way to do it if you haven't, if you don't know who he is. He's very big. He runs these visionary programs that cost very, very much money, but also attract millions of people around the world. They're very successful, and I know why, because he says really good stuff. I've taken one of his things. I haven't actually visited his workshop. I got this from another trainer, but he gladly shared the source with me. And that's, you can adapt to the frequency of other people to influence them better. So this line really strikes out and out, right? It goes everywhere. And that means, this is the seeing, the visual. I'm a kind of a visual person, and I'm really trying not to do that because I'm getting a different vibe back and we're going to the other vibes. And that's very difficult for me. But what I want to do is scream and be very loud and make big gestures. That's in my nature. One level below that is what we call hearing auditive. Auditive people will remain in one place. They will make the video guy very happy. He's not happy with me moving about all the time. I'm sorry. they will stay in one place and they will talk with their hands, but not that much, and their voice will be a bit calmer than the visual people. And then there's, this is very hard for me. The kinesthetic people. They have a much softer voice, they talk slower, they don't move much. This physically hurts me. This is the vibe I'm getting from you, so I'm trying to calm down to reach your energy, but on average, visual people can tone down 15%, and kinesthetic people can up 15%, but that's it. So if you want to influence someone, you can try to match their style if you can find out where they are. And good luck. It's fun to practice with this, but it's very difficult. So how do you get someone out of a red cauliflower? That's the most useful mindset change that I would like to hand to you today. So someone's in a red cauliflower. I like to surprise people with questions they don't expect, like, what did you have for dinner 3 nights ago? And then they go, I don't know, potatoes? Then they have to dig in their memory, and that makes you let go of emotion. That's wonderful. You do have to make sure that you ask a superficial question. Don't ask something like, what's your first memory? That's a very big and open and often heavy question. Or how did you enjoy school? Keep it simple. What did you have for dinner last week? Or what's your favorite lunch sandwich? That really works. Surprise them with a question that does not have emotion. That's a different book in the bookcase that they're having. They don't have a bookcase, they're having an emotion that they took from the bookcase. So, external influences will affect your mindset. That will happen. You cannot change that. You can break your negative spiral if you are aware of it. Awareness, remember? And your behavior always influences others. I've sat here all day and I've seen speakers ask the crowd a question and 2 people go, And I like to think that with my pent-up energy, I've made a few more of you stick up your hand. So the energy you give, you will get back a little bit. And these were my key takeaways. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Linda. And now time for questions and answers. It's here on Slido.
How to overcome the fight and adjust your behavior natural to the emotion which you cannot change. I obviously don't know who asked the question, but I'm going to assume that you mean the fight, flight, freeze response and how you can get out of fight. The first 90 seconds, your emotion will run through you. That will happen. And you cannot do anything against that. The book's there, it's going to run through your brain. But what you do after that is your choice. You can choose to get a different book. And that's very hard, and it's very uncomfortable even. But if you practice doing that, you can make healthier choices. Thank you. When feeling a negative emotion, what can help you choose your reaction before you start acting automatically? So this requires a lot of practice. I've been training with this for more than 10 years now. I've studied to become a coach and I train teams, and and still I find myself sometimes responding not in the way I would like to respond. Often I can bypass it because I feel the emotion coming. I'll get a sore stomach or whatever. And what I then do is check myself, hey, what's happening? How do I feel? How would I like to respond? Or I think of the what would whoever do? And then think of the person that probably would have a very good response in a situation do. My ex is one of those people. He always knows what to say in every situation. So I often do the what would he do? And then he would probably make a joke. That's great. And then I'll make a joke. Even though you're sitting down, we'll give you an ovation. Oh, thank you. I'm feeling it. Can an introvert learn to be happy in a team full of extroverts? I like that question. So I'm obviously extroverted. And I've been in a team with almost all extroverted. And as soon as the introvert learns to set healthy boundaries and teach the extroverts to talk amongst each other and not to them, they'll be fine. The boundaries are the key. Yeah, and extroverts don't mind being told to shut up. They know they talk too much. Is there a way to make this a habit, to check yourself each time you get an emotion? Yeah, by doing it. It's not the fun one, sorry. Sometimes I don't even know I'm feeling an emotion, someone else points it out. How can I improve my self-awareness? Yeah, again, by practicing and by being very honest to yourself and by establishing good feedback from people around you. Yes, extroverts are very annoying, yes. We are proud of it. We don't mind. Was it good to wait 2 weeks for QA to fill? He learned a very big lesson by waiting. If I would have interrupted his learning, he would not have had the ask for help step. The first step when you need to get out of a cycle is to realize you need to ask for help. And if I would have given him that, he would not have done that. What if bad emotions wake you up at night? Yeah, they might. They can, and they will. They've woken me up a lot the last few nights. So when you feel like an emotion is getting the better of you, when it keeps you from functioning, or if it keeps you from sleeping at night, it's very good to find help. Because you cannot always do everything by yourself. There is no emotion, there is peace, there is no ignorance, there's knowledge. Ah, yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you, whoever wrote this.